You know, like as a little bit of a demonstrative tool, I've actually only ever done this once before, and at that time I did have a, what do you call it, a projector thing, and I don't, but I can kind of give you just a little bit of an idea of what's going on with that. The first thing that I have to do is, when I get the translation, is I have to format it. So right now, what I'm actually working on is in between panels. I've been going out to my room and working for like 10 minutes because I have these wallflower scripts that are due in 2 weeks. So that's what I'm working on right now, is volume 4 of the wallflower. But I first have to take the raw translation and put it into the correct script format that is going to be used in recording. An interesting thing is, maybe people who have experience as screenwriters or playwrights or whatever think that this might be an area that they would also like to work in, but the problem is that any of those, well, I won't say any, most of the skills that they've developed for doing that are not applicable for this. And yes, being able to write, you know, flowing dialogue, or you know, having a good grasp of the English language and grammar and things like that, those are all wonderful things that are very necessary. But since you're doing an adaptation of something that's already there, and you're trying to keep everything intact as far as the story and the feeling of the show, someone who's writing an original screenplay can kind of make up all their own stuff. And of course, when you're doing that, you're not concerned about those little animated mouths that are already there, and you can't really do anything about how many times they do or don't open or close. So that's certainly an issue. And the other thing is, when you're writing your own play or teleplay, script writing for a film or anything like that, there's a lot of the extra work that we have to do that is not involved. And what I mean by that is, since we are dubbing something that already exists, the actor and the directors have to know exactly where in the movie or the TV show each of those lines is spoken. So you have something that's called a time code. And I'll try to blow this up. That's going to help that much. Wow. Okay, actually. So the first column is, this is the time code. It's usually the hour, the minute, the second, and the frame where that character begins speaking. And the reason that you need to have that is so that in the studio, when the actors are recording, the director and the sound engineer know exactly where your next line is going to be. They can fast forward in the film because it's been digitized, and it's in they use Pro Tools, most studios, to add in the sound files. So they need to know where my character is speaking, and it's not like you're just going to sit there and fast forward through the show to find out where my lines are. So that's the first thing. The second column in the script is the character's name, and then the next thing is the dialogue right there. And this is actually the translation. And I will say that not every studio does this. It's kind of a cool thing that ADV does. And the reason that we keep the raw translation in the script is because if for whatever reason you're in the recording studio and the line that you're working with, it's not flowing somehow, or it's too short, it's too long, you have the translation there to refer to, so that if you make any changes to the line, you still have that as a reference point. So those are the main elements. Now, a lot of things that we have in there, something that I think is unique from what I've seen for the script writing is, I love that ADV, that we will leave in the scripts, like I'll put in my own little personal notes about things that I think might need an explanation. The caption are in there. Again, like I said, the same translation goes to the person who's doing the subtitling as the person who's doing the ADR script. But it's kind of cool because when you're in the studio as an actor and you see all the signs and you wonder what they say, but then if it's in the script and tells you what's in there, that's really cool. And the translators do put in a lot of notes because it gives you some insight sometimes as to the basis for the show, how certain things were created. I know on Oh My Goddess there was a scene with this little octopus creature, and in the translation, in an episode of the anime where that little thing appeared, and the translator put in the script something like, I don't know what this thing is, but funny enough, like the night before, I just read a chapter in Oh My Goddess manga where that creature had appeared, and I knew exactly what it was from reading that, and I can't remember the name of it to tell you right now, but at the time, I put it in the notes, in the script. This thing is called the such and such, and it does blah, blah, blah. So it can be very helpful to do all of that research beforehand when working on the script. Yeah, anybody have any questions? Oh, yeah.
You ever met Hillary Haig?
It's Haig.
Haig?
Haig, yeah, sure. I've known Hillary for a long time.
I've seen her pop up in a lot of different animes.
Seen what?
I've seen her pop up in a lot of different
Oh, yeah. Hillary's, I think Hillary started working as a voice actor about 10 years ago. Yeah, she's been around quite a while.
Bubblegum Crisis wasn't the first one?
No, that was one of her first ones. I think Hillary's first show might have been Master of Moscaton. Yeah, I think that might have been her very first show, actually. It's about 98.
Never heard. A real distinctive voice.
Yes, she has it. When you hear Hillary in most of the shows that she's in, that's actually what she sounds like in real person. She sounds like she's 6 years old. So yeah, when I'm writing a script and I'm reading Hillary's dialogue, I'm doing my Hillary Haig impression. So, yay for that.
You know anything about? I haven't watched the first Bubblegum Crisis, the original. But
I haven't seen it either.
I'm sorry.
I haven't seen the original.
I heard that the first one they were actually finished the storyline until they were ending episode.
I don't really know anything about that. Did you have a question?
Yes. I was going to ask. How much? It probably varies from project to project, but how much the studio gives you? Like, you obviously get the videos for it, and the translation notes. But sometimes do they give you like cultural notes and stuff like that?
Right, that's what I mean. Like the translator will put notes in the script to explain certain things and what they mean. And if possible, if there's a way to work it into the script without it sounding corny, I'll try to get it in there. It's all totally on a case by case. So it really varies from show to show even each specific instance and what the purpose of it was originally. So that still goes back to intent. An example that I have on Wallflower. I'll give you one. I was just up in my room right before I came down to this panel. There's a term in Japanese that some of you may be familiar with, but it's Jia, which is basically a word that means old man. And we don't have a word that's like that in English at all. The way it was handled in Godaner is there's a character, and he's supposed to be like in his 30s, and all the people that work for him are about 22, and they call him that. And and he's really not that old, but in English we had him call him Pops, because it kind of conveys that same thing. In this, in episode 17 of The Wallflower, there's a character, and she's very rich, and she has a chauffeur, and she calls him Gia, and the translator's suggestion for that was chauffeur. Now, my suggestion for it is driver, because would you ever really hear anybody say, chauffeur, come here? I mean, they would. To me, it's more natural to say driver. I think, that's my interpretation. So whether we said chauffeur or whether we say driver, either one doesn't mean exactly the same thing. In another show that I worked on, not Nagaraho, Sister Princess. In Sister Princess, this character, he's, again, another very wealthy character.